Constantly shifting through the time-space continuum, Metron's three disciples observe the universe from the Mobius Couch.
If I only could, I'd make a deal with God. I'd get him to swap our places. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, be running up that building so that I could sit on the Mobius Couch. Ladies and gentlemen of the world, welcome to the Mobius Couch, a time-space interdimensional vehicle from which your three hosts survey the world of comic books, comic book movies, and recently manga. We've got international. Heyo. I don't know why I did a heyo, but international.
Yeah, that was weird. It's really out of character for you.
I know, and it has nothing to do with internationality.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is exciting that we're international. So let's introduce your three hosts. I'm Alessandro. Welcome. Hey, everybody. And joining me is Patrick.
Hello. Hello, everyone. This is Patrick. This is Patrick talking.
And Joe.
Hey, Al. Hey, Patty. How are you? I'm Joe.
Hey-o.
This is Joe talking.
I'm so good.
Say hey-o. We can just start yelling that.
Hello.
Hey-o.
Boys, I have some news. I don't really.
Oh.
We watched The Flash, I guess. I don't.
Yeah. Oh, right. Let's just get into it because our small talk just hasn't gotten better over the months.
Well, today we're talking about The Flash, the fastest man alive, the greatest superhero of all time. The Flash is the best movie, starring Wally West, played by not Ezra Miller. Wait, shit, that movie doesn't exist. All right, never mind. We watched The Flash with Ezra Miller. It's not good.
You guys chose this. I did not choose this.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
I'm fine. I'm fine talking about it.
I'm fine talking about it too. Also, one of the only things we've done in terms of visual, not comic books that are on paper. Is,
we did do the Snyder
a few
cut.
Marvel shows. We did a few Marvel shows, I guess, right?
Well, and we did the Snyder cut, and this is like
this feels like a nice
to the Snyderverse. Yeah, this is the end.
It's a follow up,
Yeah. So we can kind of wrap up the Snyderverse, and hopefully we won't need to bring it back ever again.
Hey, you know what? There you go. There's a nice tease for our audience. If you want to hear our thoughts on the Snyder cut of Justice League, go way back to the beginning of our show and listen to those episodes. And maybe you'll be a little tiny bit more informed about how we're about to talk about The Flash.
Ladies and gentlemen, there will be spoilers, so please either have seen the movie or actually, given the box office receipts, you probably haven't seen the movie because it was a bomb. But so either see the movie or don't care about spoilers because we're going to talk about plot details and things like that. So we got that warning out of the way. All right. So we usually start with overall takes just to give a tease of the rest of the episode. I'll start. The movie was trash on fire. I hated it and never want to see it again. That's my take.
Okay. Patty?
There were moments I enjoyed. Overall, did not like this movie. I struggle with Ezra Miller because I really loved Ezra Miller since Perks of Being a Wallflower. If you're not aware, the actor Ezra Miller was getting into a lot of trouble around the time this movie was being released, and it was like physical abusive type stuff. And I didn't do the deep dive into all of it. I just remember hearing about it and it kept happening. And I think that really tainted my ability to enjoy this movie. There were things that I thought I was going to hate that I loved. I thought it was ridiculous when I heard Michael Keaton was coming back as Batman, but lo and behold, I think he was my favorite part of the entire movie. There were moments that were good, but like overall, the Flash was not portrayed in a good light, I didn't think. In any instance was I like the Flash is being awesome right now. I would have preferred just a Supergirl. I loved is it Sasha? I can't pronounce her last name.
I don't know.
Calle. Isn't it Spanish?
Calle. I think that's it.
Yeah, I thought she was a great casting for Supergirl. I could have watched her beat the shit out of Zod for like 30 minutes straight. I thought that was great. There were moments that I thought were great, but overall, this movie kind of fell in line with every other DC movie where it just misses the mark and they could not figure their shit out.
Joe, your take.
I did not hate it. So there's that. It's not like I walked out of it just going like, that was the worst movie I've ever seen in my life, which is a lot of what people are saying. I mean, I also enjoyed Supergirl and Michael Keaton. I thought it was kind of cool to see Michael Keaton back. I had a weirdly long argument with a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago about how that's not Batman to me, and he was like, but that's the audience's Batman, and we got into this like long discussion about what that means, and I was basically like, yeah, but if that's their version of Batman that they want to see on screen, then they're wrong. And he's like, they're not wrong, they're uninformed. And we just got in this huge argument, and I was like, that still makes it wrong. Like, it still doesn't make it. Any Batman that just retires and stops being Batman isn't Batman to me. He just keeps going until he dies. Like, there's no, like, I guess I'm old now, and he stops. Like, that just doesn't exist in my head. So, like, it's a cool return of the Michael Keaton Batman. I liked it. But to me, like, just like Christian Bale's Batman that stopped being Batman for 8 years or whatever, in The Dark Knight Rises, I'm like, that's not, he would never do that. Like, that's not a thing, you know, kind of thing.
Do you recognize Batman Beyond Bruce Wayne as Batman? Because he stopped.
Yeah, because he doesn't stop.
He stopped.
He didn't. Batman Beyond stopped. Batman is Bruce's brain with a dummy body running around doing it for him. Terry doesn't think. Terry doesn't have a mind.
We were just talking about how
for 20 years. Like, between
he was in the bat suit in the first episode of Batman Beyond. And he's like, I'm getting too old to do this. I have to find.
But wasn't he just getting? I need to rewatch that episode. I thought he was just restarting.
No,
like he was trying to get back into it after having paused for 20
No,
years.
there was a gap of time, but I think he couldn't do it physically. Like, literally, his heart would have just stopped.
Okay. Then I retract that. Okay,
I may have.
He was there. He was there for.
I think it was like this. He was using that suit to keep him going, and then basically the suit's metrics were reading out, and he was like, "Oh, if I do this one more time, my heart will explode." Like, this is, you know. And I don't think he ever really stopped being Batman in his head. Like, he just lived in the cave and was still like, you know, I don't know. You know what I mean? That's a fine line. You're right.
So wait, we were just talking about how I'm not very good with literary terms, and we were talking about, I think before we started recording, that I have never truly grasped the concept of irony. But is it ironic that Michael Keaton's career was kind of rebooted with that Birdman movie from like 10 years ago?
I agree with that. Yeah.
So
I think that is irony.
Is it irony that okay? I did it. I
think it is. I think that 10 years after Michael Keaton did Birdman, he's playing Batman again is either
crazy.
Irony or just weird as shit.
Or just like that's the universe. At any rate, I didn't fully hate the movie, and in fact, I really enjoyed the first like 30 to 45-ish minutes, like almost up into the point where he goes back in time and messes everything up. Like, I kind of liked the beginning.
Awful. Okay,
what are you talking about? I like all the Batman stuff. I like all the Wonder Woman stuff, except for the stupid lasso joke. So on and so on. There's a lot of stuff in the beginning where we're like, okay, it's not bad yet. And then it hits this point where you're like, and now it's bad. You know, and it kind of recovers when Batman and Supergirl get on the scene as well. But there's a definite middle chunk where it's just Ezra Miller talking to Ezra Miller. And that I could have definitely done without for 2 hours. And then the end and whole Zod thing feels empty and weird and not, you know, I don't know. And as an end to all of the Snyderverse, I feel like that was one of my biggest problems with the movie, because like I was expecting more of a definitive like watching reality unravel, or it's a very huge change and a lot of things are different and like we'll never get back there, but he's still the Flash. But they didn't even say that still. And like, there was just they don't know what they're doing. So there's no definitive answer at the end of the movie. And then because they don't know what they're doing, it made the ending of the movie very like anticlimactic and like just like empty. And it didn't feel like an end to the Snyderverse that it should have been. It didn't feel like a birth of something new. It didn't feel like the end of like what Flashpoint is in the comic books. Like when, you know, the New 52 starts, like it didn't feel like that at all. And I think that's what I was expecting. And that's sort of why I was like, at the end. And then on top of that, there's a lot of weird, you know, bad at CGI and cameos and crap like that.
I think my issue too with the two Ezras, young Barry, and how do we want to differentiate?
Call them red and blueberry, because they have red flash streaks and blue flash streaks.
They have
Is that
yellow.
right though?
They have
Because
gold.
Yellow,
and
yellow
blue?
berry, and blue. Blue is the
Yeah.
younger one, and yellow is the original.
Blue is what about young berry and old berry?
yeah, young berry,
I
old
don't know.
berry. I guess that's easy.
Real berry,
Yeah.
fake berry.
Well, they're both They're both as real as each other. So we should go young or old.
I mean, he's from our universe. He's the Flash. The other one was in.
That's not our universe. This is a fictional film. It is not part of our real universe. Either way.
How do you know that though? How do you
They're
know?
from the continuity that is being presented to us as the continuity.
I refuse to recognize the Snyderverse as my continuity. I am not.
All right, moving on.
All right. Well, first of all, let's do a little bit of background. Before we get into the actual film. So, like a little bit of background. So, this movie cost between $250 and $300 million to make, and B,
Plus
it's worldwide.
marketing.
Yeah, but just the budget was that.
Yeah.
The worldwide gross so far is under 290 million. So this is a giant flop.
It's
This
one
did
of the
not
biggest
make any money.
box office bombs of all time. It's looking like they're going to lose $200 million. Warner Brothers is. So that's not good.
Which is
Maybe they made the right decision by pulling that Batgirl film.
Well, no, but that's the weird. Why pull that one? And
because it has Michael Keaton as Batman. Like that's the idea.
Batgirl.
Huh?
Michael Keaton was in Batgirl.
Yeah.
And they pulled that one.
Yeah.
But they released this one.
Right, but that comes after this. Batgirl would have been after this movie. So if you saw Michael Keaton again after he died in this movie, it would make no sense. They don't want people that's the audience to be confused by the fact that Michael Keaton was in this movie and died, and Michael Keaton's in another movie and he's still alive, and let's be honest, they did it for tax cuts. That's not. They didn't care about the continuity.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. I mean, that's what I'm getting at. But it's weird to me that it's weird to me why one becomes a tax cut and the other one they're like, let's just release it. I mean, although one was, I guess, Batgirl was not going to be a theatrical release, so maybe they were.
It was at one time.
Yeah, but at one point it transitioned to just an HBO Max release.
Yeah.
So there may be some kind of because third parties are involved with theatrical releases, maybe they couldn't quite pull back on the Flash anymore. I don't know, but
I think the Flash is far enough along where they wanted to get some money back. Whether it was way too far along to get $0 back. Let's put it that way.
I guess.
And I don't think it would have worked.
Regardless, Warner Brothers' party line was that Batgirl was so bad they couldn't release it, and it's just weird that this film they're like, oh no, that's great. Let people see that.
Mm-hmm.
But Batgirl was where they.
Well, Tom Cruise said it was really good.
It was the movie America needed at the time, or whatever.
It's the superhero movie we all need.
A little bit more like pre-production note. Production from hell. They went through different. So the director. This is really weird. The original directors were the two directors of Into the Spider-Verse who directed half of the Han Solo movie before they were fired off of the Han Solo movie. Yeah. They were going to direct this movie, but they left the Flash.
If this movie had been made when it was supposed to have been made, like 4 or 5 years ago, one, we would not have known at the time that Ezra Miller was a piece of shit. Also, we wouldn't have known that, and then it would have been way different without a Michael Keaton, probably without Supergirl. It would have been Superman and Batman, and it would have maybe things would have shifted at the end, but it probably wouldn't have been as crazy as it is now. It would have just been a completely different movie. Let's put it that way. It sounds like it would have been way more like actual Flashpoint, like, Wonder Woman and Aquaman fighting, and maybe Cyborg would be there, and like Batman and Superman are barely there, or Superman's there as a skinny little guy or whatever. Like, it sounds like that's where it was heading when they originally wanted to make this. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Keep going.
No, but they went from that to a few other directors. Eventually, they ended on Andy Muschietti was the eventual director who actually did it. And then they did all sorts of reshoots on top of reshoots, and producers wanting to change this, wanting to change that. The ending scene. So I guess spoiler from when we get there, but the ending scene, Barry
has changed 4 times.
Yeah. Barry's back in the quote unquote real world.
Yeah.
And George Clooney Batman greets him, and then he kind of goes oh, and that's kind of everything's changed ending. But so the actual original planned ending was that Michael Keaton and Sahsa Calle would be in the real world. They were going to be the new Batman.
That was the
and
second
Superman
ending
in the movie. Then they scrapped that, and because in the meantime the DC was sold to Warner Brothers, and then Henry Cavill was brought back in to play Superman when he did like the Black Adam ending, and then he refilmed an ending to be the Superman again in The Flash. But then James Gunn came on and he was like, nope, we're done with that.
That's not my Superman. Yeah.
Yeah. So they got rid of that. And then they're like, let's just do George Clooney and call this a wrap on everything.
Yeah. James Gunn literally called George Clooney and was like, hey, will you come do a joke for me? So I can bury this movie.
Yeah. Literally. Right.
I mean,
so that's how we got to that ending. But there were like all these different versions. It's just stupid. I just wanted to make that ending scene as kind of synecdoche for the whole production of how fucked up it all was and what a mess it was and all the reshoots and new directors.
Yeah, we definitely missed like 2 or 3 changes in there, but
this was based off Flashpoint, so I guess Barry's just like the worst fucking Flash. But so I get that it's based off Flashpoint.
He's terrible.
Who's the best Flash? Who's the best Flash, Patty?
Barry, who's the best? Well,
who's the best Flash?
Wally is the best Flash.
I like Jay Garrick because I like how America used to be. And Jay Garrick feels more of a time where I'm comfortable with America being that way.
When it was great, you mean?
I don't want to make any vast political statement. I just think America used to.
I'm just asking. I mean, wasn't
when
it great?
Jay Garricks were flashing around. That's all.
I mean, what I will say, when Jay Garrick was the Flash, it was kind of like general consensus among Americans that like Nazis were bad. So, I mean, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's true.
That's actually was never the fact. Charles Lindbergh, the most famous American of the 1930s, was a devout Nazi.
What?
Yeah. Have you seen the movie Amsterdam that David O. Russell or whatever his name? That's about like there was a secret like Nazi society in America in the 30s, so pretty prominent.
Wait, but Jay Garrick the Justice Society fought against Nazis. Am I wrong?
Yeah, we're talking about the DC and universe.
Patrick made the statement that Jay Garrick was the Flash during a time when all of America hated Nazis, and that was not true when Jay Garrick was the
comic
Flash
books.
in comics.
Well, I guess I was actually talking about America in general, so I just learned something.
Yeah, but America in general had a very prominent pro-Nazi.
Yeah, eugenics was on the rise.
Has it always been like this? And people were just kind of quiet about it for a few decades?
Yeah.
They weren't very quiet.
They were kind of quiet about it. I mean...
They're pretty quiet about it.
I mean, a lot of people weren't quiet about it, but now it's like, bad. Anyways, back to Barry being the worst Flash.
But let's talk about Barry.
Yeah, let's get back.
I don't like the premise of Flashpoint, and I don't like the premise of this movie because Barry says a lot of things throughout the movie that makes you think he's done a lot of studying on time travel and paradoxes and the different things that can happen if you mess with time.
And yet he does it anyway. Very flippantly.
He finds out that he can go through time, and he talks to Batfleck, and Batfleck's like, Barry, don't interfere with the past.
I actually really love that scene. It's like one of my favorite scenes with Ben Affleck Batman ever.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah, where he's just calmly talking, and he's like, you could also destroy everything. Like, he seems sincere. I don't know. Ben Affleck was just like actually being Bruce Wayne for a minute. It was really good. I really liked it.
I want to mention a Batfleck thing. I really respect how in every scene that Ben Affleck acts as Batman, he looks like the most miserable human on the planet, and yet he keeps doing more cameos as Batman. Even though it's the worst, like last thing he wants to do in his life is be Batman on screen, but he keeps coming back for those paychecks for these cameos. I don't get it. In the Snyder cut and that added scene in the
I really
Snyder
like
cut,
the Batman
he looks
scene.
Like no, but I mean Ben Affleck as a human looks miserable playing Batman.
Oh no, yeah.
But he keeps doing it. Like movie after movie, he's like, sure, I'll do a cameo, and then he looks like he wants to die as he's doing that cameo. It's weird why he keeps doing that to himself.
On that note, I really like just little bits in the beginning that because like I said I liked the first 45 minutes and like Al looked at me like I was the most insane person on the planet. So let me clarify a little bit. I really like the way the running looked for 1 minute or like the zoom in as he stepped was like amazing. After that, he's doing this thing and it looked silly, but like just the first little bit when he started to run, I was like, that looks really, really cool. Maybe I'm just too used to Ezra's run as the Flash that I'm just like, whatever, you know.
They did scale back the speed skating form.
It was a little silly. It was a little less silly. Unfortunately, they decided to keep that, number one.
I feel like they scaled it back quite a bit.
They did, but not enough.
They even made fun of it because Younger made a joke about.
That's true. Yeah. So they made fun of it a little bit, but you're still doing it in the movie. I don't know. Well,
I think it's the fact that Flash's body is moving like at normal speed, and
and he's like almost slow motion while the background's going. Ooh.
Yeah, which
and like I get it. It's like he's supposed to be like frictionless, and I get it. Like there's something about it that I actually like. I comprehend what they're doing. I get it, but at the end of the day, if it looks silly and the audience isn't going to buy it, then why are you doing it? Like it doesn't matter how much thought process you're going to put into it. If it's at the end of the day, it just looks bad, you know, like it's just stupid. It's just dumb.
Back to Barry being, he keeps, it seems like he's very educated on time travel. And Bruce tells him not to interact with the past. And then what happens is Barry's mom is murdered by, I guess, Zoom, but we never are told in the movie.
That's another thing. Her. What the fuck?
But while she's murdered, Barry's dad is at the grocery store. And he gets blamed for the murder. He goes to the grocery store because the mom forgot to get a can of tomatoes or some shit.
Yeah. Patrick, I think you're going where I'm going, but I wanted to talk about this because his alibi makes zero sense. But go ahead with what you were saying.
Well, no,
I did want to talk about the whole murder thing. Yeah.
My point is that like Barry is talking to Iris at one point and he's like, oh, I can go back in time. And he's like, all I have to do is move the can, and technically I'm not interacting with anyone. And I'm like, how the fuck are you not interacting when you know for a fact that is going to butterfly effect all of it?
We just watched an entire movie about you changing the past, and at the end of the movie, you change the past again. Like, zero lesson learned. Like, what the fuck? Like, what? Well, that is the worst non-existent character arc I've ever seen in a superhero movie, like literally ever.
Well, my main complaint is if I were the Flash in that situation, one of the things I'd love to know is who the fuck killed my mom?
Yeah. Why are you at the grocery store? Go stop the guy from killing your mother.
Exactly. My focus wouldn't be how do I manipulate a grocery store shelf so that my dad doesn't go to jail. I'd say, like, I'm going to camp out next to my mom with my superpowers.
Well, again, that starts the first problem, though. So there is growth in the aspect of him recognizing that his mom was, like, quote unquote, meant to die for the universe to be how it should be in his eyes. So he's not trying to stop the mom from dying anymore. He's just trying to do one little thing that would, like, help his dad at this point in time get out of prison, not altering what's already happened. Huh?
How do you not want to know who killed your mom?
Yeah, that's my big thing. Like, it's like
how it's completely unhuman. Like, how do you just not?
It would be the first fucking place anybody would go. It's the first place you would go. Like, end of story. It's the first place you would go to. If your mother is dead and you find out you can travel back through time, the first place you would go is the point of her murder, not the day before or the day after or the grocery store or whatever the fuck. Like,
because the
conceit of the movie makes no sense. That he's just ignoring his mother's death completely, and just to save the dad from jail time. It's like, figure out who killed your mom.
Well, in his defense, Barry's defense, there is the thought process that Batman has been like, hey, don't do that. And then Iris on the other hand is like, yeah, but as long as you're not interacting, like, it shouldn't matter, kind of thing. And I think that's the idea. Like, if he went back and stopped his mom's killer, then
that point. I get that.
He would be. He would. He'd be interacting. He'd be doing something.
Find out who did it.
Yeah,
at
But
least
if he
find out. He did
sure,
it.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that's why he doesn't do that. Like he does it because he doesn't want to fuck it up. He wants to change it without fucking everything up somehow, and that's what he's
Also,
attempting to do.
Why does so we're positing that Zoom,
I still think it's dumb.
this super speedster, killed Barry's mom. If
Theoretically,
Barry's
We
dad,
don't know. In this universe, we don't know.
if Barry's dad is also home at the same time as his mom, wouldn't Zoom just kill both of his fucking parents? Like, I don't understand. He's
not. He's home like
no. I'm saying because Barry puts the can of tomatoes, the dad never has to leave, so the dad's at home. And for some reason, because Barry's dad is at home, Zoom does not stab his mom.
So that's again, you're assuming it's Zoom. And the assumption there is that it's just some random person that thought the house was empty and then stumbled upon the mom, stabbed her, and ran out the door. So if it's a random person that's just a random killer that has nothing to do with Zoom, then that idea kind of makes sense.
I just wish there was more of a reason for him to go back in time and change.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's what Flashpoint was. Barry went back in time specifically to save his mom, and it fucked everything up.
What
set it off.
One more. So,
but he went back to the point of the killing.
Yeah, right. In Flashpoint.
Yeah.
I want to make one last point about his dad before we get into the whole movie, because we still have a lot to say. But one other nonsense thing that didn't make any sense to me. The police arrive at the house. The dad is cradling the dead mom in his arms, and they're like, well, you killed her. We're going to take you to jail. His defense is, I couldn't kill her because I was at grocery shopping and I got home and she was dead.
Mm-hmm.
But that's his. How can you prove that?
You can't. That's why he's in jail.
And the ending resolution of this movie is they show a camera video of him at the grocery store that's supposed to prove that he was at the grocery store, not at home. But when the police get there, he's holding a dead woman. Like, how can they prove he didn't kill her when he got home from the grocery store?
Also,
reveal makes no legal sense.
One more note on that. Like, aside from, first of all, I agree with you completely. Yeah. Aside from the father not being resolved in that way, like if that was to come to light and actually work in his favor, who's the next person that would look at? I mean, he's not 5, he's like 13. There have been 13-year-old kids that kill their parents for whatever fucked up reason they have, or whatever, or maybe justified reason, I don't know.
How many?
But like, I'm just saying there are children capable of stabbing their mom or whatever. I mean, like and he's just, I was upstairs.
It's probably a statistically insignificant amount of 13-year-olds that kill their mothers.
I feel like it happens though.
I'm going to chat GPT that. I don't think
I'm saying if the father's absolved of the sin and the son was like, I was just upstairs doing my homework, like they're not going to immediately be like, what? Like, are you? Were you? There's a chance that by absolving his father or like making his alibi real is going to put him in prison, is what I'm saying.
On average, about 5 parents are killed by their biological children in the United States every week. It doesn't say how old they are, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's like probably more adults, right?
Children killing their parents is the fastest growing homicide in the United States.
Okay, well, I guess maybe that shouldn't surprise us. Maybe that actually is a statistic that makes sense.
That's terrifying.
Okay, all right, look at Barry. But anyway, my main point was just the alibi that the whole defense is constructed around.
You're right,
that Barry time travels to fix makes no legal sense. Like,
because
that would not absolve someone.
It's seconds, because it is seconds from when the dad gets home, he hears the mom scream and runs in the house. So it's not like he still could have murdered her. He could have gone to the grocery store, come home, stabbed her. Like, it is literal seconds. I didn't even think of that.
The key that I think is interesting here is that
seconds, because the coroner can't say this woman died at this exact moment in time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't like her body was dead.
They can
for
almost,
hours,
like to the minute.
Not to
they
the
can.
minute. No, they can say like in this 1 to 2 hour range she died, but that's enough time to go to a grocery store.
Not when it's that fast. Like if it's that fast, they can tell really close.
Joe, so
Yeah.
45 minutes. The most modern technique is within 45 minutes of time of death. That's enough time to go to the grocery store and come back. My main point is that defense is BS.
He still makes it back from the grocery store at the same.
Yeah, but we're forgetting Barry Allen. Did he not? I mean, I know he's a child, but he did not have like eyewitness testimony. I saw my dad come in the house. I heard my mom scream. I looked out the window. My dad was in the driveway. Like that doesn't matter.
It didn't matter.
Not. It didn't matter.
It didn't matter enough, I guess. Yeah. So here's the point, though. If you're assuming that happened, that testimony, and then he's going to combine that with the fact that the tape shows his dad at the grocery store instead of just I was at the grocery store, then yeah, maybe it's enough. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Like they needed more proof that he had just arrived home or whatever.
One thing I do want to say is I feel like the actor that played his mom, I did like her. I think she was good. I also like, as much as I wanted Billy Crudup back, and because he's amazing, like the dude from Band of Brothers and he's an Office Space and a million other good things.
I forgot Billy Crudup was the dad in the.
Yeah, Billy Crudup was.
If Billy Crudup was the dad, I'd be like, yeah, he for sure did it. He did it. That guy did it. Creepy face Billy Crudup.
He's super murderer.
Death sentence for that guy.
If I was in the jury, I'd be like, nope, he definitely.
At any rate, the new father from Office Space and Band of Brothers and many other things that he's awesome in. That guy, he did a really good job. He did a really good job.
I can see Patrick in that jury. They're like, oh, he was at the grocery store. Patrick's like, he still did it. I'm not changing my verdict.
Like, there's the part where he's on the phone with Barry and he's like, listen, man, like, I appreciate you getting the footage and and it's crystal clear, but you cannot see me still because I'm not looking up. And like, it's maybe it's better that I'm not free because then I'll just be missing her every second of my life. And in here, it's just like, and I don't have time to worry about it almost. And I'm just like, that's wildly depressing, but also like he delivered that really well. It seemed sincere. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think Barry's dad and mom both did.
No human would react that way to that situation. It did not seem sincere at all. No human would react that way.
He's been in jail for.
If I was in jail for 20
years,
if I was in jail for 15 years, I'd tell my son, like, get me the fuck out of here right now. What footage do you have? Get it all. Get all the footage you can get. I don't want to stay.
That's what they've been doing for 15 years. I disagree.
People rape and solitary and shit. Get me out. Like,
get tired of fighting, Al. It happens. Could you imagine? It's not. That's more believable. You having the passion to keep fighting for your innocence after 15 years is less believable than what I saw in this movie.
That's bullshit.
That's what I'm saying.
If my son worked for the PD for the past 5 years, you get me the fuck out of prison right now. What am I still doing in this cell?
Not even that. Get me out. It would have been hilarious if the dad was on the phone being like, oh, you're like best friends with Bruce Wayne? He's a fucking billionaire, right? Why the fuck am I still here? Like,
yes,
also
billions of dollars, phone call with Barry.
This has always bothered me too. Like, this has always bothered me too. I understand that you want to do it legally. I get it. I get it. But you can move at super speed.
You can phase through
you can phase through walls. You know your father is innocent. You know it. You heard her scream. You saw him in the driveway. It's impossible for him to have killed her. He knows he's innocent. Just get him the fuck out of there. Put him on an island, rob a bank at super speed, and give him all the money he needs, and just be like, I don't know what happened.
Be like, Alfred, can we get a ID for this guy and maybe like $2 million?
Yeah, and just be like, yeah, there you go. Ask Alfred.
Alfred,
can I have $2 million and a fake ID for my father? I'm done with this bullshit. He's suffered enough. Like, he's done.
Okay, let's move past this because
let's move on. Yeah. We've already
one of my biggest complaints about this movie and why it starts off, and Joe, my opinion of it, I hated the first 45 minutes of it.
You didn't like that Flash was hungry? Oh, that he needs food?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense at all. Oh. Like if like just keep your fucking apartment like stocked with protein bars. But that's
another aspect of this.
That's another thing. They throw the candy bar at him and he just runs away. I'm like, you don't stop to eat the candy bar if you need food that badly? You're going to let the 5-second rule stop you from eating that candy bar when you know you need the energy?
Yeah, your metabolism is going to break down any type of bacteria quickly. But here's my big point is there is a fucking hospital that is collapsing. And the Flash gets there and is bitching to Alfred about how hungry he is when there are people inside of the fucking building that is falling down. You save the people first.
Falling down.
Joe, it is falling down. Joe,
Patrick.
it is falling down.
You know what?
That's why I was like, This is
why you're right. Whether he thinks it is or not, it doesn't matter. Alfred says the west wing of the hospital is about to collapse, and he looks up and it goes, "Nah, it looks fine to me."
Yeah.
Why are you questioning Alfred? Just go do it. Just go do the thing that you're there to do.
No,
what are you doing?
You're both missing the main thematic point of the Snyderverse is that none of these superpowered people are interested in being heroes. None of them. From Superman to Batman to Cyborg to Flash to everybody, none of them want to be heroes. That is the thematic core.
Cyborg definitely doesn't.
It's just your. He's the Flash.
Superman does.
He's the Flash.
No, he does not. Superman and Man of Steel and Justice League does not want to be a hero or save people. That is not at all what he wants.
And also, if I was Batman, I'd be like, Barry, have you cleared the fucking building yet? Have you not done that? Because it would literally take you half of a second to run through the entire building to see if there are, I don't know, maybe like 25 babies about to die. I don't know. Just maybe do that real quick.
It felt like in this movie they invented a bunch of problems for him to have, so he didn't just use his super speed to just obliterate every problem he could have.
But
he can't move people fast. That's never been a thing. Like, he moved people fast in the Justice League. He moved people fast.
Yeah,
like he was zipping people out of the little, I don't know, water tower thing they were in when they were fighting the parademons for the first time, and he was zipping people out of there at like light speed to get them out of there.
But now he can't. Now he can only move inorganic material.
None of them were hurling into the bushes after he did it. He was just dropping them off outside and then running back in. Remember? It's the whole like Batman says like just save one person speech.
Yeah.
And he like goes in and zips in and grabs.
You know what? Which was not in the Snyder cut. That was in the Whedon cut.
You know what?
That's
true.
Really?
That's interesting because I was going to say
I don't remember.
The Snyder cut that out. They don't have the Batman pep talk to Flash.
Here's the point. It doesn't matter. The pep talk's not important. What is important is saving people at super speed.
But the pep talk is important in my opinion because there's a callback to it in this movie, and it's one of the few moments that I really enjoyed because. Older Barry is talking about when Zod attacked, he had just gotten his powers, and all he was able to do was save that one kid. And so when you juxtapose that with Batman saying, like, just save one person, like it matters if you save one person. That's all you have to do is save one person. And then you have this moment when he first got his powers where, like, he saved that kid. Like, he saved that kid's life. And that was the only thing he could do at the time, but he still did it. I thought that was a fun callback to the Whedon cut, which, you know, I hate talking about Joss Whedon now, but
yeah.
Well, but anyways, I thought it was a terrible fucking way to start the movie with Barry going to a hospital that is collapsing and being like, "I'm so hungry, I didn't get to eat my bagel today."
100% agree.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
No, so Patrick, 100% agree. One other point I'd make in addition to that is, in a normal, like, actually crafted film, that device that he has a watch that tells him how hungry he is, and we know that he can't run fast when he's hungry, would be something that happens throughout the film and would be crucial to resolve.
Yeah, and it's never brought up again.
It's never brought up again. It never happens. But like in a real movie, in the last fight, it would come up that like he's out of food and he would either, you know, he would find some way to overcome that difficulty, or, you know, typically that's what would happen. The hero would find a way. Yeah, but I just brought that up because in a normal movie, when you introduce a constraint like that on a power, it would be centrally involved throughout the film. And, you know, at the end, either the hero overcomes it or, you know, through guile, he skirts around it. But this is just never brought up again. Like, it's just not a thing. Because it's a stupid movie that wasn't written by, you know, it's just
because it's like five different movies cobbled together to make a movie.
Well, because they reshot it 18 times.
Honestly, at the end of the day.
They reshot it 18 times.
So nothing tracks. Nothing makes sense.
Yeah, and we also, the other thing, so in the first 20
Not
minutes,
that the
he's
original
not-
cut of this movie would have answered that well.
Maybe not.
Just to clarify.
My other real issue with this movie is the first 20 minutes he's at the PD talking to his coworkers who are giant pieces of shit, but they're his coworkers. Like there's no rapport whatsoever. They're just horrible people.
They're just introducing you to the coworkers for the first
But they
time,
mean
and then
nothing.
also
But they mean if that's all.
I'm not saying they don't mean nothing. I'm saying what should have been the introduction to those people.
But those people aren't Those people aren't in the past. We don't meet any of.
They're
his
in the
coworkers.
Ezra. They're in the young Ezra Miller timeline. They're in the young
they're
Barry
not.
timeline. Yes, they are. They're his roommates. They're in the whole fucking movie.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Are they the same actors? Are the roommates?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. That's how little I was paying attention.
Which also makes no sense. No, well, here's my.
Wow.
It's kind
So
of.
his roommates in college
damn
are
it.
his coworkers at the P. That doesn't
Yeah,
make any sense.
I know it doesn't make it's.
Listen,
very
I don't. I'm
Oh,
not saying it makes fucking sense.
Y'all.
I'm just saying
All right, well,
the people that
okay.
are in the beginning are in the movie later as different versions of those same people.
So my complaint was presupposed on me not understanding they were the same people. So I take that back.
Oh.
Now it's more palatable.
Inevitable.
Now it's
I get
better.
It's more palatable.
Okay, here's my thing. And I get that maybe you can say he didn't want to fuck with the timeline more. But let's say this story was told from young Barry's perspective and you randomly have older Barry show up. The amount of information he was giving young Barry at the pace he was giving it, I thought it was the opposite. I was like, you need to tell me exactly what the fuck is going on and like what's happening. Who are you? Why are you here? Why are you changing the past? I felt like it was like Barry would like talk about Kryptonians as if young Barry knew what the fuck Kryptonians were. It was just kind of like, I think as a viewer, if I was watching it and it started with young Barry and older Barry shows up, I'd be like, this is very unsatisfying because I don't know what the fuck this guy is talking about. And I don't understand.
I think you would feel differently if an older version of literally you showed up on your doorstep with superpowers and was like, I can't explain this to you, but I need your help. I think
but then he would like word vomit explain it to you with like Diana,
you're right.
Mascara, and then we have Cyborg is a blah blah blah, and then we have
at that point they're all in.
Clark.
At that point they're all in though. It doesn't matter. Like
But
he's
then
just
it's-
trying to stop. He's just trying to stop the timeline from getting fucked up even further. Like
I
he's
don't
like, I have to
just-
make this as close to reality as possible. I gotta go. Like that. Like I'm not saying it's the right decision because he shouldn't have done it in the first fucking place.
The interactions between young Barry and older Barry, I hated. And I think they had to like do this thing to like, even though younger Barry had long hair and older Barry had short hair, the Flash in the present day is basically an amalgam of older Barry and younger Barry in the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
He's like, because older Barry becomes like extremely serious.
Yeah.
For the rest of the movie. And then young Barry is like extremely comical. They're like on totally different ends of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think to your point, Patrick, I think they were trying to hammer home these are the different Barrys.
Right, but I feel like that you would think there would be more of a connection between the two. I feel like a lot of times they were on completely different stages, and I get there's the whole nature versus nurture thing that like younger Barry had a totally different upbringing than older Barry, but
yeah, of course, yeah.
It seemed like they were complete strangers to each other. Like they didn't understand each other a lot of the time. Also, I fucking hated the way young Barry would laugh. I hated it. No one laughs.
That kind of
No one laughs like that.
I laughed at some of their little twin gags, I've got to admit. Like when he grabs it, he's like, oh, we have to go to cousin's dinner, like as an excuse to the roommates. And then at Batman's place, when they find out he's Batman.
Cousin's dinner.
Yeah, and younger Barry's like, wait, he's Batman? And he's like, yeah, what did you think we were doing here? And he goes, well, I thought this was cousin's dinner.
Like, we had spaghetti. I thought this was cousin's dinner. I thought that was actually really good.
I laughed at that.
I thought it
So
was
some
funny
of the
when,
things like that, I have to admit, I laughed.
when Olderberry lost his powers and he tries to run at super speed and he's running in circles. That was funny to me because I thought they were intentionally making fun of the way he ran in Justice League in that scene. I also thought it was really funny when young Barry gets his powers in this movie. When young Barry gets his powers and he goes and he runs away and he basically destroys like an entire city block. I thought that was funny. And I thought when older Barry's like,
it's way funnier when it cuts to older Barry in the apartment and it's just like, and it's like alarms and you're just like, God. And he's like, son of a bitch. You know, like that was pretty funny.
And then older Barry's like, you have to calm down and listen to what I'm saying. And then he's like, what about the phasing thing? How do you do that? He's like, it's very complicated. You can't. And then he phases through the floor.
He's like, I do that. You don't. You're too, like, I don't figure that out for a while. I mean, and he just goes, and it's just screaming.
Like, quick thing, I guess, just for the audience, quick thing. Flash travels back in time and he loses his powers when he does it. And he meets.
I despise superhero movies where they lose their powers. I hate it. Yeah. I hate it.
I hate it. When this happened here, I was like, oh,
I hate
crap.
it. Yeah. At the very least in this movie, it's not no powers for a long time. It's the powers transfer to another idiot, you know? And so like it's less of that story because the original Flashpoint storyline is not that. There is no other Barry. Right. Barry just ends up in another universe, doesn't have his powers because he never became the Flash because his mom never died. And then he seeks out Batman, who ends up not being Bruce. It's Thomas Wayne. And then, like, you know, because it turns out Bruce died instead of the parents and so on and so on. And everything's changed. And he gets his powers back. But there's a long period of time where he doesn't have his powers. And I'm just like, I'm so glad that this movie, although it did that, at least there was a Flash running around, however silly, in the meantime. You know, like that was a better telling of that story in a way.
I just didn't like. I would have done without the twin, just all the twin gap. Even though I said I laughed at them, I just wouldn't have.
Yeah, you laughed at them doesn't mean they didn't overdo it, and there wasn't 8,000 more than there should have been.
All right, but let's talk about more. So he's in the past, and then because it's the past, General Zod from Man of Steel is back, and in order to defeat him, he finds Batman. Without going into too many details, he's got to find Batman and Superman. Is what's going on.
He wants to find the Justice League, but he quickly finds out that Arthur Curry was never born, and Cyborg isn't Cyborg, and Wonder Woman doesn't exist theoretically, or maybe just has never come to man's world.
Yeah, he can't find.
Theoretically, she's on Themyscira still, and then that leaves Superman, and Batman.
Bruce Wayne. So he finds Bruce Wayne first, who's Michael Keaton, Bruce Wayne, as we've alluded to.
Yeah, I like that. I liked all of that.
I thought it was sad. I just thought the whole thing was sad. I mean, it's just
why is it
just
sad?
It's pandering fan service. There's no why make a 73-year-old play Batman again? Why leave Michael Keaton alone?
I think my bigger question is why not just make him Thomas Wayne? Like why? Like I get that Michael Keaton played Bruce Wayne in those movies, but if you're dealing with a multiverse, like why not just make him Thomas Wayne?
He's not Michael Keaton.
They're not creative enough to figure that out. They're not.
Also, then you can't do all the merchandising with the Batmobile and the Batwing and the toys.
One of the interesting things was I paused it when Michael Keaton opens his vault of bat suits. On the far left, one of the bat suits has a holster with 2 guns in it. And Thomas Wayne Batman is, I'm pretty sure.
Well, he does on his thighs. Right? Yeah,
he had guns.
Yeah, but I was just kind of like, whose suit is
Patty,
that?
I think that's an allusion to Batman Year 2, which, by the way, is a comic I've told us that we all need to read sometime.
Yeah, we should do that sometime. We'll do that.
I think it's an allusion to Batman Year 2 because he has the gun that killed his parents.
Yeah.
But I get so Al, I had the same reaction when it was announced Michael Keaton was going to be Batman, and I saw the trailer. I was like, this is going to be so dumb. But I actually I enjoyed it.
It's nostalgia. It's just your nostalgia. This is what they prayed. This is what they're
whether it's the nostalgia or not doesn't mean it didn't work. So like there was an arguably good Michael Keaton acting.
I enjoyed it. Seem like he wanted to be. I mean, so let's talk about Michael.
Oh, I disagree. I think he did. I don't think.
I think he totally did. Yeah, no.
Zod is another.
Michael Shannon had no idea he was in the movie. I think
we will hit that because I have a lot.
He was eating it up. He loved it.
No, Michael Shannon was a whole other level of this, but
I think Keaton was enjoying himself. I disagree.
But so I do want to mention, I mean, Patrick mentioned this earlier, but right. The irony of the actor who played Birdman 10 years ago playing Batman again is whatever.
Yeah.
I do want to say, I mean, I'm of a certain age. I grew up with the Batman and Batman Returns movies as my first Batman movies. I loved those. I loved Keaton in those. I think we've talked about it. I liked his take on Bruce Wayne and Batman of this, I'm going to just be a crazy person because this is an insane man. At the end of Batman Returns, when he's trying to save Catwoman, he gives the speech where he basically says, like, the Penguin and you and me are like, I'm a freak. Like, we're all freaks. Like, I'm a crazy freak too. Like, we're all insane people. Like, live with me. We can make this work. It didn't work. She died. But I liked that take.
She's at the end of the movie.
Oh, that's true. Right. But they don't stay together. Let me say that.
No,
they don't end up together. But I did like that take on Batman of, I like Keaton's take on Bruce Wayne of like, well, this is a literally insane person and I will play him as a crazy man. I thought that was interesting. And I love those movies. I don't know. Maybe I'm too cynical for this, but like, I just got no joy of seeing him as Batman.
Oh, wow. I definitely
didn't get
I really
joy
enjoyed it.
out of it.
Yeah.
When they first show up and he's hiding and he fights the two Flashes, I enjoyed that entire scene.
I love that. The way he sneaks out of the cabin and his hair's all long.
Yeah.
Everything is so good about that. He's so quiet, then he jumps up and starts fighting them. Like, it's so good.
Well, like you just said, he's a crazy person. Like he's a crazy person, and they do acknowledge, like Joe, to your point, saying Batman would never stop being Batman. They do at least have him say like Batman was not needed anymore. Like Gotham became peaceful.
He's always needed,
and I just wasn't needed anymore, or whatever. But like I thought it was, and I actually laughed when Michael Keaton dives at Young Barry and he super speeds out of the way, and he just because he's kicking the shit out of
he leaps into the table. I love that he keeps throwing stuff at Young Mary.
Yeah,
Young Mary's like, it's great.
I was shocked at how much.
By the way, those are the best super speed moments. There's the one I liked the blur of the ground in the very very beginning. I actually, and when he first goes back in time and it goes and like stretches, like I actually really like that. I think that's really cool. I don't mind the time bubble. I just don't like the Polar Express CGI around them in rings.
I liked
that part's gross. The lightning looks cool when he's back in the grocery store with his mom and he puts the cannon and he's just walking around and the lightning's going and just like like arcing off him and hitting lights and stuff and he's moving through space while everyone's like frozen. I love those scenes. I think that looks incredible. I don't know. There's just certain aspects that I'm just like, why'd you do that? So again, the baby scene was horrible because the babies look super fake, but at the same time, I don't know. Do I want to see a real baby plummet towards
the thing
acid?
Is, I don't really enjoy the super speed as slow-mo part. Like the baby scene and how they always do it, where like everything slows down. He moves normal speed in a still life. I don't enjoy those scenes at all. The X-Men movies do that with Quicksilver all the time.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
and I hate those scenes. I like to just see like at the end when they're fighting the Kryptonians, and it's just like yellow you just see the flash.
I mean, I think it's a proper mix of both. Like I don't think they overdo the slow-mo speeds. I think they just do it well when they do it.
See, I disagree. If I got no slow-mo speeds, I'd love that. I don't want to spend time in there. I'm just not interested in seeing a guy move normal speed through a still life. Like I don't care.
I like it in the sense of it's interesting how the physics moved. Like when he's jumping off stuff and pushing and like he moves through space and it's like moving in a different way than him. I don't know. There's certain aspects of it that I enjoy. My
complaint is in this movie and the X-Men movies, it always becomes a gag where like they'll see someone eating a hot dog and they flick it and then walk past it. And, they always use it as a gag to do stupid shit. And I don't need that in my, like, just have him move, it's a Flash. I get it. He's fast. I'm done. I don't need to see it in slow-mo. No, thank you.
So in your head, that scene should have been like a bolt of lightning going up the side of the building while a bunch of babies had like stopped in space, and it should have just been, and then they would have been
I don't need to see him. I don't need to see him put a baby in a microwave and then get it. I don't care about any of that. I don't need it. I don't need it in my life. Also, I just turned your 2.5 hour movie into a 2 hour and 10 minute movie.
Yeah, that's
With that
true.
one
He did
note.
take a lot of
With that
time out of
one
the movie.
note. With that one note.
I don't know. So there's yes. However, again, the grocery store scene and seeing his mom alive, and so he has the time to like take that in and see his mom again, and like have that emotional connection. And if there's
Okay,
genuine
do
acting
it
from the
once.
actor,
Okay,
yeah, if they do
there.
it well or
Do
for a
it there,
reason, I think
sure.
it's okay. Yeah, like,
Sure.
but when, yeah, you're right. When it's just
But
visual
if you're
gags
doing
and
it
putting
for
a
a
baby
gag,
in a microwave,
you don't care about
it gets silly.
Okay, let's talk about Supergirl because we talk about Batman.
Wait. I just want one point about the Batman scene that I really enjoyed, and a lot of this.
Which Batman scene?
Well, after he's gotten his ass kicked and they're sitting down eating spaghetti, and he's talking about time travel, and Olderberry's like, I don't understand why you're Batman and not Batfleck. And I thought the way they explained time travel not being a straight line, but being not being linear, but being a circle, and how you've broken the circle, and so that affects the past and the future, and how they specifically differentiated themselves from time travel in the Marvel universe. I really enjoyed all of that, and I thought it was a very
I liked it too because it also explained the Michael Keaton Batman thing in a very legitimate way, not just like fan servicey.
Wow, we did not see the same movie. I can't disagree more on any of this.
How?
First of all, it's all gobbledygook. It's not real science or a real explanation of anything. It's invented bullshit. First,
Einstein's theory.
We're watching a movie where someone can run at super speed. Of course, it's invented bullshit.
Okay. But this
the point is, it's an interesting idea on how time works, and I liked it.
Okay, whatever. All right, whatever. B, my other complaint, and actually, this is a big complaint of the Marvel universe, but this does it too. So, a big thing I hate about the Marvel universe is how everyone is a genius. Everyone can solve time travel. Everyone can make clones. Everyone can make Ultron. I'm kidding. Only Hank Pym can because he's an idiot.
Yeah, only Hank Pym can do that.
You know, everyone's a super genius, and this is the same thing. Like Barry Allen, even though he's a ditz, is somehow a genius scientist at the PD, and Bruce Wayne also somehow intimately knows all the rules of time travel. Everybody's a genius in these movies.
Well, Bruce is a genius, though.
Like, first of all, Bruce is
okay, but Cyborg is also a genius. Like every character in all these movies is a genius. They're all genius.
Cyborg is literally connected to a mother box. Like, yeah, he's a genius.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
But he's not a genius because he's
Superman's not. Wonder Woman's not. Flash fucks some shit up in this movie because he's an idiot.
No, but
I don't know if you know.
Flash is, but we're told he's a genius PD coroner student.
Yeah, and he's not though because he's he's not doing a good job.
I hate how, but anyway, Bruce Wayne somehow knows the intimacies of time travel. And B, they're not real. They're just
he's giving a theory though. Barry's like, I don't understand why this happened, and he's like, well, this is the other theory of you created a fulcrum.
Yeah, he's like, maybe this is the reason why. He doesn't say like this is how time travel works.
Okay, well, then
he's never time travel before. He's just like, hey, here's a theory, and if you do this, it affects the past as well as the future. That could explain why I'm here and your Bruce Wayne isn't. Anyway.
Enter Kara or Kara. It's Kara, right? I always say Kara, but it's Kara. Michael Keaton Batman is inspired by Older Barry to take back up his whole Batman antics, and he, of course, figures out where Kara's. Well, they think it's Kal-El is being held within like 10 minutes, and they.
I love all the Batcave scenes. I love Barry working at the computer and knows Bruce is watching him the whole time. While idiot Barry runs off and does stupid shit. So, like I liked all that. None of that bothered me. That was good stuff. I love him finally going like, all right, let me open up my Batcave door and look at my bat suits and come downstairs now. Like, cause just they're not actually communicating. It's just Barry talking to what he thinks is Bruce listening, and I enjoyed all that.
Older Barry is looking for Superman, of course, his Superman. And then Batman, because of course Batman, in addition to time travel, is aware of asteroid impacts in Russia. Also tells Barry
he used the Bat computer. Do you not read comics, bro?
I'm just alluding to the fact that these people all know everything. That's all I'm saying. But so he tells Barry that the
and we've established that
Superman-
Batman does know everything.
Yeah, but so the Superman landed in Russia. So I guess people who have read comics are thinking, "Oh, we're in a Red Sun scenario," but we're actually in a Red Daughter really cool. Scenario. We're in a Red Daughter scenario, really cool. If you know what I mean. It kind of would have been more. I don't know about more interesting. It would have been interesting to do, like, he's an established Russian hero, would have been kind of interesting. But okay, but it turns out that the Superman in this world is actually Supergirl. It's Kara, Supergirl, and she's been unfortunately a prisoner for most of her life.
Yeah, I like all that. None of that bothered me. Like changing it from Henry Cavill or not using Henry Cavill and doing Supergirl instead. Like, okay.
I thought she was great. I thought she was awesome, and I know she's. Yeah. I don't know how. I think the actress is probably 15, so this is creepy me to say.
She's at least.
I enjoyed her.
16.
She is
Supergirl.
I enjoyed her as Supergirl. Yeah, I thought she was great.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Yeah, no,
I thought she looked great, and she was.
She had minimal screen time and minimal lines, but
her lines were delivered with such conviction that it made it sold it. Yeah. You know, she sold all of her lines. And specifically, there's when they do get back, and I'm fast forwarding through them saving her, and they're back now at Bruce Wayne's manor or Wayne Manor. There's a specific thing where she's like, "Yeah, but why would I care? I'm not Kryptonian. I'm Kryptonian. I'm not human. You know, kind of thing." And she leaves for a little while or whatever. That whole would she actually help them just off the bat, like Clark would, kind of thing? Probably not. You know,
Clark wouldn't, because the Snyderverse Superman is not interested in saving people at all in any of these movies.
Well, he also wouldn't, because Superman in Flashpoint also didn't. Well, because he wasn't raised by the Kents is the key.
Yeah, but I did like
they do a good job of establishing that conflict within her. Her line deliveries throughout that conflict is good. And her reason for coming back is actually really good. She just goes oh, I've witnessed what it means for these Kryptonians to exist, and I've seen true heroism in these humans for the 10 minutes I've been awake, and I can immediately evaluate what the right thing to do is. I need to go back to Barry and Bruce. And I'm they did a really good job with her character arc.
Yeah, I like that. Even though she'd suffered at the hands of humans, she's still basically at base was a good person and decided I will help innocent people. I will be on the side of,
she asks older Barry, why did you do that? Why did you help me when you saw it wasn't Kal-El? Why did you help me? All right, sorry, go ahead, Betty.
Well, no, to your point, what you just said, with that conversation, I was like, wait a minute. Was Batman and younger Barry just being like, oh, it's not who we came for. Let's get the fuck out of here. Were they just about to leave her in the cell? Because she specifically looks at older Barry as why
basically. So they opened the cell and it wasn't Superman. And then Batman was like, all right, let's get out of here.
I think it was older Barry.
Kinda. He was like, yeah, let's get out of here. Yeah, I don't think younger Barry specifically grasped on what was going on, period. So I don't know if he consciously was like, let's leave her behind. But older Barry was the one who was like, no, we got to take her with us. What do you do? And then picked her up and was carrying her down the hall and stuff.
It's so
she even groggily looked up at him and went, what the fuck? And kind of did that thing and was back asleep a second later. She was mildly aware that he's the one who got her the fuck out of it.
But I liked visually how when they got her in the cell, because Superman and Supergirl get their power from sunlight, she's very kind of skeletal and drained.
Oh yeah, she's super skinny.
And then whatever, they fight people on the rooftop, but then later when she's recharging, she's really her posture's up. She just looks more kind of has meat on her, just more in her strength.
It happens literally as you watch, her so flesh grows out as she's the sunlight hit me.
Yeah, I liked visually how they kind of they showed that. Kind of the last.
I also I know it's silly because Bruce shouldn't know that she's there, and when Bruce holds his hand up and says "try not to die," and then he forms a fist and starts fighting, and she's there behind his fist in the air, that visually was a great shot, but obviously he's not doing that on purpose. I'm hiding her from this specific point of view, but I really enjoyed him just going let's try to not die, I guess, right now. And then they start fighting, and her coming down, that initial fight against those soldiers on on the top of that prison is fucking so good. It's
I don't know. The CGI was so bad. I don't know.
I didn't care at all. Like,
it looked like Matrix Reloaded CGI from 20 years ago.
The gun going off, and like she stops the bullet and then shoves it into the gun and like hits it into the guy's face and then throws him off the roof, and he's like, I'm like, that was yes.
I enjoyed young Barry asking Kara if she was ready to fight, and she looks at the statue and literally just spits at it and exploded. Because that's not what I expected. I expected her to like use her heat vision or something, but it's like the most like unromantic thing she could have done. She's like,
I thought it was great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Loved it.
Look, I am all for that.
Yeah, no, good.
Is there any
staying with Kara? Like, I loved. She was not here for Zod's bullshit when she shows up and she confronts.
Oh, she
Zod.
immediately just went right at him. Yeah.
Well, back to how she
because she knows that's her job.
Was.
Well, but
she knows that's her job.
Was.
Yeah,
right?
But she's also when Zod is like talking about restarting the group chat, and then she's like,
and she's like, oh my god, I don't care. Where's my cousin?
Yeah, when she goes,
and I'm like, I love that.
When she screams, "What did you do?" And then he's like, "The infant didn't survive." And then she just blasts him with the heat vision. That was like my favorite. That was my favorite part of the entire.
He could have literally lied and been like, "Well, he's on the ship and he agrees with me," or something. He could have said anything, and he's like, "Well, that's not Zod though. He's gonna be like, yeah, I fucking killed him, baby. I don't care." And he says that, and she's just like, yeah, and I'm like, yes, I love it.
The other thing with Kara and the Zod fight, and back to Al's point, how like in the Snyderverse, they weren't too concerned about saving people. There's a scene where a helicopter is falling, and Kara breaks away from her fight with Zod.
She safely to go save somebody.
But she safely lands the helicopter, and like half a second later, Zod just rams through it and kills everybody on the helicopter. And she's like, "God damn it!" I kind of just wish we got a Supergirl movie. Actually, now that I think about it.
But I do like that she saved, because like Henry Cavill would never have saved that.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Up."
We're supposed to have a Supergirl movie, and most likely James Gunn will recast her, so there's no confusion. But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, if you cast her and then make her look different enough, like give her blonde hair or whatever you want to do to be like, this is our Supergirl and not that Supergirl, I'm all for it, because I thought she did a great job.
I thought she was good. Yeah, I thought she was good in the role. I didn't mind her, and I mean, she didn't have like the largest role in the movie.
She didn't, but she delivered what she was supposed to deliver in a very again sincere and earnest way that made me buy into her character in a very brief period of time.
I want to talk about Zod for 2 seconds because A, I don't know why he's in this fucking movie, and B, I don't think Michael Shannon knew why he was in this movie.
He didn't.
I think he's just there as like a MacGuffin bad guy, like as just like a thing for them to be doing while they're doing the main.
I mean, obviously, but I mean, Michael Shannon. This was the most dispirited line delivery. I mean, he was reading cue cards he'd never read before.
Yeah, I think he's literally said like
he has
for Man of Steel, like I worked out for X amount of time, and I was on set a lot. Like obviously he was in the movie, like he like did all these things. He read the role, like he enjoyed it. For this, they literally called him in for I don't quote me on this, I guess, but like a day and a half. Like it was a very short period of time. It was like a week. It was like a week versus like 7 weeks. It was a couple of days or something. It was a very small amount of time. And they basically just like had his head in an Iron Man box and just went like, "This is what I say when I say things." and then they're like,
but he would. I wish I had this.
Michael, good Michael. Moving on.
I wish I had the like script in front of me, but he would just say stuff like, "I am the general in charge of keeping Krypton alive, and what I'm doing here is just."
I think a lot of those initial lines
that's how he delivered stuff.
Man of Steel lines. Like there was a lot, like when Michael Shannon, like when Zod is talking on the television, and it's like, "I am General Zod. I am from planet Krypton. One of you among us is like." That was all just for Man of Steel. That wasn't like new line reading.
But it was just like in that scene Patrick mentioned when she's like, "What did you do with my cousin?" and his answer, "The infant didn't survive." And she's like, he's just monotone reading lines. He doesn't know what they mean. It's crazy. It's
Is it that different
level.
from his General Zod interpretation though?
He literally in an interview he gave, I think I don't know the exact words, but the general gist was that he, Man of Steel, the character was well developed, had this background, and he really put effort into the acting. Whereas, I will say about Man of Steel, his whole storyline, that there's a beat in Man of Steel where Zod says something about how he's a soldier for a species and that species doesn't exist anymore. And it was kind of like a deeper character development moment. And he kind of said about Zod in this movie was literally what we just said. He's a MacGuffin and just like a plot device. He's not.
Yeah, he's just the events that they're replaying over and over again. But
no shame. I mean, Michael Shannon, get those checks. Like no shame.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. Do it all. Do it all day.
Do it.
I hope you got a lot more than $1 million.
I don't know how much.
I don't know what he got paid for this movie either. I'm just saying, whatever it was, get it all day. Do it all day.
Yeah, no shame.
Yeah,
you get that money. All right.
So I've won.
Okay.
So here's where I think I also really loved the Michael Keaton Batman in this. I really loved his action pieces. I loved those choreographed scenes. The thing I love the most about him is when he's fighting the Kryptonian and he's putting the charges on him and blowing him up. It really reminded me of like Batman in the JLA, like especially
in the 90s in Morrison.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was Grant Morrison Batman, like fighting the Martians.
Yeah, it was like here's a charge, and then I'm gonna pull a rope and then blow up.
Justice League Unlimited and all those cartoons. They were very gadget heavy.
It's Batman.
Well, he was on because he's running around with superheroes, so he's like, what am I gonna?
Yeah, and it's they're in a fucking desert. There's no shadows for him to hide in. It's broad daylight, and he's just on his feet fighting a Kryptonian, and I thought that was great. I loved it. He
By the way, I know clearly they're still fighting the backlash of like General Zod versus Henry Cavill Superman, like smashing through buildings and killing God knows how many people in a fight. But man, could they have put them in a more boring like they literally like, let's put them in a complete empty desert for as far as the eye can see. Where the fuck are they? But there's not even like a mountain range in the background somewhere. Like I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but Joe, I think to your point, it was very clearly like we know that.
Oh, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, we've learned our lesson. Let's not go anywhere near a fucking city, or we'll never hear the goddamn end of it, or whatever.
Yeah,
and I'm just like,
this reminded me a lot of like.
Boring.
It reminded me of like DBZ fights where Goku's like, we can't fight in a city. Let's go to the they fly to just this nameless plateau desert, and that's and that's where they fight. No, Patrick, I agree. I did kind of like when Batman's fighting that giant and he's using all his gadgets and flipping around. It was pretty good because a lot of
there's little key moments like when they're in the Russian jail. And right before Batman like swoops down to like help them, when they're having their dumb comedic moment, Flash are having their dumb comedic moment with like people are shooting at them and like he moved him and he's like, "What'd you do?" And then he throws up or whatever and all that stuff's going on. Right before Batman jumps down, he's like, "This is gonna hurt," and then he jumps down and I'm like, I like that little like sigh of like, I'm an old man. This is a bad idea. I should not have done this, kind of thing. Like there's little, and then he does awesome shit. So like that, and that awesome shit that we never got to see Michael Keaton Batman do because they didn't have the CGI to do it back then. Yeah. So like there's a couple of things where I'm just like, that's pretty cool that I got to see like an evolution of that Batman in that sense of like him like swooping down and smashing someone into the ground. But before he does it, he's like, like kind of like, I don't know. There's little tidbits like that I thought were really fun.
Yeah, but I enjoyed the gadget use too because from Batman Begins to The Batman, we've gotten this very sort of stripped down, gritty martial arts fighting year one sort of Batman in movies for like the past 15 years, and it is a little bit refreshing to see one that's more just like, I got billions of gadgets. This one explodes. This one's a rope. This one does that.
Yeah, and I think Ben Affleck.
It's a little bit hokey, but it just feels more comic booky, and I enjoy it. I kind of like that.
Yeah, like Affleck's suit in the beginning of the movie has a little bit extra armor on it, and he's scraping along and using his bat grappling hook to chase after a vehicle. That's straight out of the comics.
That I didn't like. That was stupid, but I liked Keaton's
that's ridiculous.
gadgets.
It was fun.
I don't.
Also,
Batman
we
being
got blue
dragged
Batman
on
for the first time
pavement
ever.
and not dying is ridiculous. That's just stupid. But
What
I
are you
liked
talking about?
Keaton's
Indiana
gadgets.
Jones got drugged behind a tank. I buy it.
This is a man being dragged through concrete city streets. And you're
in
leading me
Batman
to
armor,
believe that he
not
wouldn't
wearing
be
leather jacket
pulverized.
and some khakis.
Whatever.
Like it's
Fuck
fine.
Batfleck. Fuck all of Batfleck and all his plate armor. Whatever. I did like Michael Keaton's gadgets, but get Batfleck stuff out of my face. Ben Affleck doesn't want to be Batman anyway. Why do I have to watch him be Batman? Get him out of my face. That's all.
I don't know why.
Get him out of here. Patrick, you look like you want to say something.
So what happens is Kara, Supergirl, and Michael Keaton Batman, they keep dying. And the Flashes keep trying to reset it to save them. So they're in this loop.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the idea of young Barry, because he's only known Kara for less than 24 hours. I don't even know. But it's almost like he got addicted to playing a video game. Like you're on the boss level and you just keep replaying it. And it's like, well, this
Yeah.
It's kind of like he just became obsessed with trying to defeat, like get through this level but it's real life, obviously. But he keeps doing it. I got confused as to why there weren't twice as many Flashes every time they went back in time. Like why?
Because don't think about it. Don't think about it.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Like why weren't there...
Yeah, because when older Barry goes back in time, there's two Barrys. So if two Barrys went back in time, why aren't there four? And when those four go back in time, why aren't there eight?
So by the end, older Barry, very quickly at least realizes not to do that. But in that time span, so he does it maybe two, 3 times.
But then, like, what happens when older Barry doesn't go back and younger Barry does?
There still to your point, there should be like 48.
Yeah, well, I think the older and young Barry that are there for the beginning are always there, and then younger Barry from the time sphere goes back and then goes back and back and goes back. But the other two Barrys are always there, I think.
So there's technically
they are.
3 Barrys.
I think so.
Every time.
But it doesn't matter. Okay. Honestly, Patrick, it doesn't matter.
I also, like a negative note, I did not like the aesthetic of when they're in the like time sphere and how there's just like a stadium of
other
spheres. The Coliseum of time.
Of people. Well, it's just like the same like person, like the same moment in time, like rotating around them. The visual of it just didn't.
One thing I hated was this like fucked up older armored Flash arrives, and it's immediately clear that it's younger Barry in the future. Like immediately.
You mean when he initially gets pushed out?
When you first see armored up old Flash.
Yeah, and he punches Flash into the young Flash's timeline. That one?
What?
I didn't know
in the beginning of the movie.
I didn't see that scene. I'm talking about the end. Was he in the beginning?
He's in the beginning of the movie.
I don't remember that.
He comes and smacks Barry out of the timeline, and that's why he's in the young Flash's timeline. So he like starts his own loop.
I thought it was sad.
Maybe I was studying for a class when I watched this movie because I don't remember that scene at all. So he was introduced before the end.
Fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the version of the movie I watched, he was only introduced at the very end.
Oh no, no, he's shown in the beginning. Like he's the impetus of what's happening the whole time.
Yeah. Then I take back what I'm about to say because then it makes more sense if he's introduced earlier in the film.
But it's not. I mean, he's introduced. He's shown for like 2 seconds. He's not introduced. He's like shown. There's like a dark figure, and he comes out of nowhere, and he hits Barry out of the time bubble, and he like hits the ground, and that's where he's. Oh, my parents are alive, and my current self is 18. Like that's where it all comes from.
Gotcha.
Also, like younger Barry gets that knife stuck in his arm, and it's like,
why don't you take it out?
Yeah, why don't you just keep phasing and take it out? And then your
body. Did it like fuse with him? Like his molecules are somehow now connected to it? Like if he phased, it would just phase with him? Or that's what I assume.
But old young Barry has like a whole armor of staff.
Yeah, because he's continued to get wounded over and over.
Apparently,
I don't know. Or is it literally like a black melted Batman suit?
No, I think
that's
I think
he's
we're
just
meant-
wearing a spray painted.
Well, I just
No,
kind
I
of
think
like
we're
the
meant to
idea
understand
that
get stuff stabbed into him.
I just like the idea that younger Barry might be replaying this moment, not necessarily because he's so in love with Supergirl, but because he's just become addicted to this 10-minute.
Yeah, he can't. Clearly, he can't stop.
It's like and it reminded just me of being a kid and playing like playing any type of RPG, and you keep dying on this boss, and you keep replaying it, and you try new strategies until you get past this level. And it was like he like lost track of time of how long he'd been doing it. I guess the Nicolas Cage cameo, I'm like, his career has become so insane that it wasn't weird to me at all.
But it wasn't him. It wasn't.
I know. I would have preferred not having any of that. I think, but yeah,
the cameos really bothered people. It didn't bother me that much.
Let's talk.
It was just like a here's a multiverse thing.
Well, I think what bothered people is them using manufactured images of people without their consent. Yeah.
Well, I think Reeves's family sold the rights to it, but but there were actors. I read that there were actors whose images were used as CGI who were not asked to be in the movie. They probably got bamboozled and signed something with fine print.
Maybe.
I would assume so. Or like whatever footage was used to like make those scenes, they don't have the rights to or whatever. Like there was even a real brief Jay Garrick Flash that was like from the Flash CW show. Like it was the actor from the CW show as Jay Garrick. That was actually Zoom or something. I don't know, because it wasn't like the Flash from the 90s show Flash as Jay Garrick. It was like a different version of Jay Garrick in the Flash CW show.
Oh.
And I was just like, wow, why'd they put him in there? The point is, like, they didn't go out of their way to get like the Flash as Jay Garrick from the 90s show, like that later on, John Wesley Shipp or whatever, like they didn't get him. They got like the weird no-name guy that was,
He was Jay Garrick in the TV show.
At some point. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was Barry Allen in the 90s show.
Well, he was Barry Allen in the 90s show, and in the CW show.
In the 90s show,
Jay Garrick.
Actor played Jay Garrick in the CW show.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did say that confusingly. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The Nicolas Cage thing, whatever. It's fine.
I just think
it's a famous unused script of Superman that like everyone was like, this is going to be the worst Superman movie ever, and it never got made. And then they showed it for a second, and it's just kind of like a joke. It's like a deep cut nerd joke of like, hey, remember that movie that we all knew was gonna suck? Right, let's do it.
Let's zoom out a second, because if the criticism is they're showing alternate universes, I don't care about that. That's fine. That's fine. Like, I don't mind that they show different versions of heroes.
Yeah, of course.
I think the internet outcry was more around. I believe, I don't know who exactly it was, but I believe they made some CGI images of certain actors without getting their consent or paying them.
I think the impetus of that conversation was Chris Reeves and Chris Reeves being dead, but also to Patty's point, I think that has long since been.
Let me try to find it. The article I read mentioned like living extant actors.
I could see them screwing over the woman that played Supergirl from
Helen Slater
80s movie. Yeah, or something like that.
Possibly.
I don't know.
Possibly.
I also thought they really, really were on a tight budget with the CGI. Christopher Reeves looked awful.
They all looked bad. They looked bad.
Terrible.
They looked really bad.
I would have preferred seeing like a reality where there's a statue of Christopher Reeves Superman, and then maybe
yeah,
it's implied that like John Kent Superman is now the Superman of that world. Like, I think there was other ways they could have done it.
Not that wouldn't have been cool, because that would have been cool. That would have been really cool, actually. But why not just show like footage that you have then? Like, why don't you just, if you're going to show like a different universe, why not show Christopher Reeves fighting General Zod, for like a quick second? Like, just like,
I agree with that. I'd rather, that would make more
why
sense.
not just show the other realities because you have footage of it. So it's like, what, you know what I mean? And there's no footage of the Nick Cage thing, then don't do that one, kind of thing. Like, I don't know. There's plenty of footage of Adam West running around with Burt Ward that you own, that you can reuse, and it's just like, why not just show that? Like, why not show them classically climbing up the wall with like people popping out of the window or whatever? You know,
you have Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern. Show that for a second. You know,
that would have been great.
They got all.
I also the visual element of those. Like, one sphere is white and one is blue and one is red, and I'm like, what is the just unify the color like theory? Like, what are you doing? Like, what do you? So there's only enough. We're going into hues. Like, how many color versions are there?
Joe,
you know, like kind of thing. It's just stupid. Just
Joe,
stupid
how
visually.
How much time do you have? Because if you gave me a bunch of spaghetti, I could visualize why that makes sense to you. Given Einstein's theories on color coordination and universes, I could explain that in a way that makes sense.
The saddest part is I feel like you think that you've one-upped us somehow, and really that just, if you had done that, or if you took the time to do that, I'd accept your explanation.
Anyway, young Flash is killed by old young Flash. And
yes.
Flash goes back and fixes things, I guess.
And then still changes it.
Yeah. He still changes it.
So after all of this, and you watch your younger self, which is just a version of you, by the way. It's not like it's like a wildly different human being that's making crazy decisions. This is just you in a different frame of reference mentally. And you've watched yourself, and that's the key, make this mistake over and over and over again.
And then
you think to yourself, oh, I know what I should do. Just change this one thing.
Yeah, that is one of my, if not the biggest complaint of the movie, one of the biggest complaints for me of the movie is.
So does he have to go back in time again and fuck his dad over, or does
the idea would to fully correct the universe and get it back to Snyderverse, that he would go back in time again and fix it finally and not do it again? Or is he just going to live in a world where Ben Affleck isn't Batman? The man that he knows as Batman does not exist because now his dad's free. So that's the end of that movie. That's implying. It's that he's either okay with like Ben Affleck not existing as a human, or because his dad's free, or he's like, all right, well, I guess I need to go back and fix what I changed again, because like I still didn't learn my lesson, and I'm gonna learn that off screen, not in the movie. That's the whole fucking point, is that whatever you do to change shit isn't going to work.
But that's what I hated about the movie. The whole resolution of the movie is old Barry realizing what I just saw young Barry do is fruitless. This is not the path to correctness, isn't to just go back in time over and over and try to fix things. Instead, the way to actually live your life is to accept the past and move forward. And I'm going to go change the past one more time real quick.
Or
that's the end of the movie. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just
Patty, what's your spin?
Just break your dad out of prison and have your billionaire friend Bruce Wayne.
You could.
There's the actual answer. There's the actual
Cyborg. Answer. You also have your friends with fucking Cyborg. Like, dude can rewrite every.
He could literally. Like, why are you waiting for Bruce Wayne to invent the fucking software that unscrambles the goddamn footage? Have Cyborg deep fake your dad out of fucking prison. It's not hard.
I know. I know that we're joking, but in the real good solution to this movie is Barry realizing I can't fix the past. And just fuck it.
Yeah,
I'm going to go back to prison and get my dad out of prison.
You're not wrong. The real solution is that he should learn his lesson and not do it. Yeah,
and then get his dad out of jail and just whatever, you're done.
Which, by the way, is what Ben Affleck or Bruce Wayne Ben Affleck was saying at the beginning.
What was he saying?
Well, I mean, he said you could destroy everything, but that was one thing. But the other aspect of that conversation was, he's like, Bruce, I could save my mom. I could save your parents, and he's like, take it from an old man that's made a lot of mistakes. Like, don't those things that happened to us made us who we are. And like, I wouldn't want you to go. I don't want my life. I don't like, he basically said like, as twisted and fucked up as my life has become because I became Batman because my parents died, I don't want that to change because like, that's not who I am anymore, you know, like kind of thing. And he's reconciled with that, meaning like he's at this point, it seems like he's just Batman to do good instead of like, I have to avenge my parents' death. He's just like, it's like he's moved on from that aspect of what it is to be Batman. And like, and I'm like, okay, well, like, and based on that lesson that he was literally taught in the very first, 20 minutes of the fucking movie, he does it again at the end of the movie. And you're just like, what the fuck, dude? Yeah, like you watch yourself make the mistake to the point where you killed yourself and you're old and nothing ever worked. It never worked.
You literally destroyed.
And then Bruce already gave you that lesson in the beginning of the movie. And then you fast forward to the end of the movie and you've gone through both of those scenarios where you've watched yourself make the mistake a billion times in a row.
And then still go back and just do it.
But also you already knew it was wrong because Bruce told you it was wrong to begin with. And then at the end of the movie, you still go and do it. And it's like, what the fuck? Like you learned literally nothing.
And I think here's the thing with the Snyderverse is the heroes are grittier and they kill people like kind of left and right. But Barry, for some reason, is wanting to do things by the book through the judicial system, which we know for a fact is like rigged and fucked up. And there's tons of people who are sitting in prison right now who are completely innocent.
But if anything, he should be going into cold cases and figuring out like what's wrong, or like people that are all convicted, actually, not cold cases. I'm sorry. Just be going back into every old case he can find and just being like, is this person actually guilty? I'm going to bring him out of jail. Like that should be his whole mission.
But it's like a contradiction. It's like a contradiction. Like we saw Wonder Woman vaporize a man, which, he had a, Uzi that he was about to kill a bunch
in front of children. She would never do that.
She killed a guy, but I'm just saying, like the DC comics, the heroes, the difference between Marvel and DC to me is that the DC heroes have like kind of a stricter code of like not killing people, whereas the Marvel characters. But that's what I'm saying. Like in the Snyderverse, if it's supposed to be more realistic and gritty, like it would make sense for the Flash to be like, "Fuck this judicial system. My dad is sitting in prison. Just get him out of jail, man. Just." Fucking do it. Like that's it. Like why are we here?
Yeah, you're willing to fuck with all of reality, but you're not willing to go, hey dad, I've got superpowers, I can get you out of jail right now.
Yeah.
Like
and the
what
dad would
in the fuck
like and also I have a friend who's a billionaire and I have a friend who's a supercomputer that can just completely set you up with a new identity.
Yeah, he can erase your existence. No one will look for you. There's not gonna be a warrant for your arrest. They will have no record that you existed.
We didn't talk about the guy from Game of Thrones being in the movie.
So that threw me off. Yes, that is 100% him. And
it's really him.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I honestly didn't notice it the first time I watched this movie, and when I rewatched it for this podcast, I was like, "Oh wow, yeah." It's literally just like a half a second. Barry steals a hot dog from him.
He steals a hot dog from him, and the whole movie, I was like, "Who is he? Who is he going to be? Like, is he Zoom somehow? What's going on?"
That would have been cool.
But he's never in the movie again. It's just crazy. That really threw me off.
The scene where he goes back and talks to his mom is pretty heartbreaking. And I liked it.
Yeah, that was a good moment.
Let's talk about that, because that's the thing where that was a scene where you can really feel an emotional weight that is completely absent in the rest of the movie. But in that scene, you're like,
well, it's there in the beginning parts with his mom too.
But I feel that scene really made you feel like, okay, this could have been something. Like throughout this whole movie, that could have been a real emotional weight that we could have explored, because there is something there and it is heartbreaking. This idea that he's looking at his dead mother and interacting with her as a stranger, not as her son. That was a good scene. And I wish here's the
movie. No, Zod. You're just going back and trying to stop your mom's death over and over again.
Sure.
Yeah. That's a fantastic fucking movie. That's a fantastic fucking movie.
And back
That's
to
him going through that, instead of watching a younger version of himself that's an idiot go through those mistakes, it's him going back to the future and being like, fuck, I fucked it up, and going back in time and trying to fix it again, and him making that mistake over and over and over again to the point where he's like, fuck, this isn't working. And in the interim, fighting Zod and the person who actually murdered his mom would have been a fucking great goddamn.
So, because if the emotional core of the movie, if the emotional core is, well, I've got to get my dad out of jail, we've already talked about why that falls apart immediately, right?
Yeah.
If the emotional core instead is, I need to save my mom's life, that's a completely different journey.
I need to save my mom's life without fucking everything up somehow. Yeah.
That's a different movie, because the movie we got of, well, I need to make sure my dad doesn't go to jail. We've already talked about why that doesn't work, because like you're the Flash, you can get him out of the jail yesterday if you need to.
Yeah.
But if the movie instead had been like their mom relationship, there could have been something there that meant more.
I think the mom, her name's Maribel Verdú. I thought she was one of the strongest actors in the movie, and it's a shame because I felt like there's a moment when at that last scene when Barry's kind of saying goodbye to her and she's getting the cereal and he says, you know, I like, my mom used to get that cereal for me. I thought she was such a good actor, because there's a moment where she looks at him and she kind of does like a double take, and it's like she recognizes him but doesn't really
like she can tell it's him but not really. Yeah.
And that's when she's like, do you need a hug? And because otherwise it doesn't really make sense that this random woman is going to want to hug random man in a supermarket. But I thought her acting was so good that like it made sense, and it really
that somewhere in her subconscious even she was like aware that it was her son, even if she wasn't.
She recognized,
was like, I'm gonna embrace my son even though I know it's not him, because that's impossible.
So I disagree. I read that as she's the type of person who would hug a stranger. Like I don't think she got that.
I did also get that from it. Yeah, like I feel like you can read it both ways.
At first, I thought she was kind of put off by this random guy like talking to her, and then she kind of looks at him, and then there's a moment where her facial expression.
Yeah, there's definitely a moment where she looks at him and kind of like sees something in him. All right, recommendations. This movie, it's really bad on a lot of levels. There's also some gems of kind of fun stuff in there. If you're a diehard Flash fan like me, like I got something out of it. I don't recommend it, but there is something in this movie that makes me go, oh, okay, at least I got a little bit of fun there. You know, like kind of thing. So like, I don't outright hate this movie, but it's definitely not the Flash movie I ever would have wanted to see.
Yeah, I don't recommend it. I liked Supergirl. I liked Michael Keaton's Batman. But overall, I kind of hated you guys for making me rewatch this movie again for this episode. I didn't hate you guys for it. I would never hate y'all. Wouldn't hate y'all. I just, I was annoyed. I was a little annoyed. I was a little annoyed.
A little hurt my heart and soul right now.
I was a little annoyed. I had to watch this again and take notes on it.
Al, what's your recommendations? You kind of, I mean, obviously we know the answer, but I guess I'm asking, say the words. Say the words, Al.
I don't recommend it.
But you know what, Sahsa Calle? I hope you have a really great career, because I thought you did a great job.
Bravo, Supergirl. Yeah. I hope fingers crossed they bring her back as Supergirl, and it's just not the same one, and they do it a different way or whatever.
They should. I mean, at this point, nobody would care. If nobody would even think
no one's gonna care. Don't worry about recasting her. Is my point. Yeah. She's great. Bring her back. Change her hair color and length or whatever you need to do to make it not that Supergirl.
No one.
I think she'd do a great job.
Yeah, no one at home is going to think, oh, wait,
young actor a movie to headline as Supergirl. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, or a straight to HBO Max film you can cancel when it's 80%.
Oh yeah, done. that could be a version too. You know, that's fine.
That's another way to take it. Little Warner Brothers joke. Wait, hold on. Oh wait, yeah. Now I'm getting that feedback. Now I'm getting that feedback in my. Does this pass the Bechdel test? The Bechdel test. The Bechdel test. Does this pass the Bechdel test? The answer is probably no. This one doesn't. There's no scene with
not
two
at all.
women in it. There is no scene with two women.
Not even at all. Like not remotely.
Like, forget the conversation part. I don't think there's two women in any scene of this film.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
I just like this movie fails the Bechdel test. That's just it. There's no
100%. Yeah.
There's 3 female characters in the film, and they're never in the same scene.
By the way, and this is just a real quick, like, just let's tack this on to the end of this conversation. The post-credit scene with Aquaman is complete trash, and obviously
why? Yeah, why do that? Why even bother?
Obviously, they're just so they can keep putting out Aquaman 2 and have it make sense somehow. And it's so stupid. And
but you
so
can release Aquaman 2 without that scene.
You could have it easily. The whole point of the entire fucking scene is like Barry going like, you know what, man, you're the one constant in all my universes I've been in. Like, you're always the same, bro. And I'm like, oh, that was the fucking worst shit ever. You know why?
Also, it's not true.
The one universe that we spent time in at all.
He wasn't in. Yeah,
he wasn't there because it wasn't fucking Aquaman.
Yeah, so it's also not true.
It's the fucking dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. Like, just a waste of fucking time.
Yeah, that end credit scene was just pointless. It was stupid. Oh,
I made up a fake scene in my head because when Barry gets his powers back, it's because Kara flies him up into a lightning storm and he gets struck by lightning. And I thought it would have been funny if she flies up with him and she comes back
and he's just
a burnt skeleton.
With
just a charred corpse, and she's like, yeah, he's dead.
Turns out that didn't work.
Well, that was another plan that
good
didn't
luck with the whole
sense.
Zod thing. I'm gonna fly on this space and have an adventure, and then it's the Supergirl movie.
Yeah, but that's another plan that made
good
no
luck
sense.
With this gross dead body.
But that also didn't make sense. Like, he gets struck once, it's like it didn't work. Well, let's just have him get struck again 8 times.
I mean, the idea was that it wasn't like enough or something. Like the current coming down through whatever mechanism they had wasn't like getting him direct.
It would have been funny if she just
needed to be struck by actual lightning.
It'd be great if she just came back and she's like, "Well, we still have one Flash. We can do this."
She's like, "Yeah, nope." He's definitely dead. He's dead.
It just unceremoniously dumps his body in the water.
She's just like, I've got super hearing and X-ray vision, and that heart.
This isn't your drinking water, is it?
Good journey, everyone.
See you later on the Mobius Couch. See you later.
Don't watch this movie.
Don't watch this movie. Goodbye from the Mobius Couch. Yeah.
Goodbye.